here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer. Got my man Brad Gilmore here, and we're ready to do this thing, man. Coming to you from ESPN 92.5. I had to get it up there. We've been on the road all week, guys. My voice is a little hoarse. We've been out in Vegas, of course, for the biggest fight of the year, so-called the biggest fight of the year. I don't know if it's the biggest fight of the year after Saturday night, as well as I had to jet back to Texas and get to, you know, the Great American Bash in Austin, Texas, man. And what a bash, man. What a bash. Dusty Rhodes would have been proud, man. I'm sure he was looking down. You, baby, go, baby. It was a great night for them young men and the young ladies of NXT, man. I'm just glad to be back on the ground for a minute, but I got to get up out of here in the morning, y'all. It's on, man. I'm rolling like the soul train, if you understand what I'm saying, man. But how you doing, dog?
Hey, Book, I'm doing great. You know, I'm like you.
I think another one of those Energizers.
I was about to say you had the Energizer pill in, man. I'm doing great. You know, I'm with you. I didn't have to do what you had to do, but recovering from the Vegas trip, taking the red eye out of there. And you know what? We saw the biggest fight of the year, and then we saw the sequel to the biggest fight of the year in the airport. People were scrapping in the airport. They had that fight energy in them.
The thing is, you know, as soon as you saw some action going down, you wanted to go check it out. I'm looking for the people who just moved out of their seats. I'm like, man, I ain't got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for nobody fighting at the app. What you gonna see? What you gonna see?
Well, no, I was just curious because we came up on it right after they broke it up, and everybody was looking. So I was like, "What are these people looking at?"
I know, but you was moving kind of quick towards the action. You wanted to see it. You was actually, you know, engaged in trying to find out what was going on. See, me, I'm the type, man. I ain't got to, you know, it could be, if it ain't at the fight, I ain't really too much interested in watching.
Well, anyway, we were able to make it back and saw the fight of the decade that I know that we want to talk about here and break down. I want to give a big shout out to everyone who brought us out to Las Vegas, though, over the weekend. We had a great time over there at the New York, and, you know, seeing some familiar faces during fight week, doing the show live from there. But Book, man, I got to be honest. You know, it was a great fight on one side of the ring. You're not so great for the other side. I mean, where do we start with this?
Man, undisputed, man. That's where we start. Undisputed welterweight championships on the line. The WBA, the WBC, the WBO, and the IBF championships on the line. And I tell you, man, it was a one-sided affair. It really was. It was a one-sided affair. That boy from Dallas, Errol Spence Jr., went out there and he came to fight, man. He came to fight. And the thing is, he didn't do anything different than I have, you know, watched him do in prior situations. He would get hit with shots, but those shots normally never would deter him. He would just still keep coming forward. Even with, just say, for instance, after the first knockdown in the second round, Errol Spence got up and started fighting harder. It looked like he was about to really turn it on. He looked like that switch got flipped, like when you get hit and some like that dog come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's on. It looked like that. But I don't know. You know, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I said this fight was going to go exactly like this. I just didn't say it on the air or anything like that. I didn't want to be the guy that, you know, in between both of these guys, as far as picking one side, you know, over the other. I didn't know if I was going to get a chance to interview one of these guys, and I respect both of those guys for what they have brought to the table. Both of those guys were truly bona fide champions. Can't take nothing away from either one of them. But I really felt like this fight was going to go this way. I think I said between 8 and 10. I said this fight was going to go between 8 and 10 rounds, and I said Terrence Crawford was going to come out on top. And the reason I said that was because every tool, every attribute that Errol Spence Jr. would bring into the ring would be nullified by this man, Terrence Crawford. None of the stuff that he normally could do, just like saying fighters fighting from a southpaw stance, being able to catching you with that shot that you don't see, being able to, walk you down and pressure you, being able to dog you like he did, like I said, with a Showtime Sean Porter. I used Sean Porter as the blueprint, for this fight. I said all of that will be nullified by this man, Terrence Crawford, and I was 100% right. I didn't think it was going to go like this, of course, but I did think somewhere along the line, just like with Sean Porter, that Terrence Crawford was going to hit him with a shot that changed the fight complexity totally. But it didn't happen like that. That boy got hit from round 1 all the way to round 9. It got ugly. It got vicious. And it got very, very serious inside that square circle. Two pugilists, in there, no doubt. But one man was much more superior than the other.
Yeah, it wasn't close. The first round, it was like a feel-out round, but as soon as Terrence Crawford was able to make contact with the side of Errol Spence's dome and put him down on the mat, from then on, I remember when the first knockdown happened, I looked over at you, and when a knockdown happens at a big fight in Vegas, for anybody who's never been before, everybody stands up, right? As soon as the knockdown happens, everybody stands up. So everybody stands up, and I looked over and I look at Booker. And Booker's just sitting there in his seat like this, nodding his head like, I see where this is going. I see where this is going. And it went that way. Errol Spence, who has been an incredible champion and an incredible boxer, especially to come back after what he had to come back from, the retina surgery that he had to undergo, and still be able to come and fight. You saw one thing in him. Errol is a complete warrior. 100% a warrior, and he was not going to stop until that fight was stopped for him. Now, you can say, was that to his benefit or to his detriment? That's up for y'all to decide, but he was not going to stop until that fight was stopped for him. But it did look like he didn't have the ability in the moment to switch his game plan up. Hey, man, this isn't working. What I'm doing, what I've done with all the other 22 that I've beaten, it's not working. And to me, I was a little shocked that he did not try to change his approach at all against Terrence Crawford once he saw I cannot walk him down.
Well, I don't think the game plan could have been changed, because I don't think he could have ran from Terrence Crawford either. I think Terrence Crawford walking him down, that would have been even worse news.
And that's what we saw toward the end of the fight. Walking him down.
Exactly. I did about, maybe 30 interviews. I did about 30. No, I'm serious. I did about 30 interviews. And I told every one of the guys that every attribute that Errol Spence will bring into the ring will be nullified in this fight. And everybody asked for a pick. Everybody wanted to know who I wanted, who I was, thinking was going to win. The thing is, I wanted Errol Spence to win. Texas boy. I wanted Errol Spence to actually walk in and walk out, and the new undisputed welterweight champion of the world. I'm talking about WBA, WBC, the WBO, and the IBF welterweight champion of the world. I'm talking about undisputed king. I'm talking about the big fish. And I was wondering what the hell was that over Terrence Crawford's shoulder when he came in the ring. That was the net.
The net to catch the big fish. Yeah.
And he caught him. He caught him big time. And I tell you, man, what a fight, man. Second round knockdown. Called it a flash knockdown. 7th round, Errol Spence went down hard twice. And then in the 9th round, the referee, Harvey Dock, had to have the wherewithal, the understanding, and the know-how to do his job and just step in and stop it. Hey, guys, we stick around. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Boom! Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. We just having fun, man. We just having fun coming to you from ESPN 975. We just having fun coming to you from ESPN 925 because we just got back from Vegas, man. We just got back from Vegas for the fight of the year, Spence Crawford, and now Terrence Crawford has the props. He has that label now of being called the one and only pound for pound, best fighter in the world. And me personally, I give him that prop, man. I give him that prop, pound for pound, best fighter in the world. Of course, Tank Davis is somewhere close behind. He definitely close behind, but you cannot take away what this man, Terrence Crawford, has pulled off, being undisputed twice in his career. And the guy's, still relatively young. Still got some years left in this business to do bigger and better things. Like you said, Brad, I want to thank everybody who made this thing possible. Steve Pratt, definitely for hooking us up with those tickets, man, because that was like one of the best spots in the house. I think. Yeah. I'm serious. I mean, of course, we could have been on the floor and been right in the middle of the action, but every time we're on the floor, I don't really get a chance to have fun because everybody wanted to take pictures and autographs and photographs and all that stuff. But in the box, it was actually real cool. We had the bar right there, the restroom wasn't far away, as well as we had a beautiful view of that contest, man, that spectacle, two pugilists inside that square circle. I want to thank you guys for making that happen.
Yeah. Big shout out to Steve and everybody who made it happen. And our girl Judy over there, in Las Vegas, and the New York. Shout out to them too. It was a great night. The one thing that I want to say is, yes, Terrence Crawford undoubtedly looked like the undisputed champion of the world, the pound for pound best fighter in the world, for my estimation right now. I don't know if there's anybody who has the kind of resume that he did or does. And I saw that he was calling out Charlo after the fight as well.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting. But here's my main question. You and I spoke about this over dinner after the fight, and I don't know if you remember, but we were talking about the strangest part of the entire evening was, you had a great entrance for Errol Spence Jr., and then the lights dimmed down. Out walks Terrence Bud Crawford, but he was announced to the ring by Eminem, Marshall Mathers himself. Yeah. Slim Shady was in the building, and he is announced. You hear the guitar riff of the Oscar and Grammy-winning record "Lose Yourself" playing, echoing throughout T-Mobile Arena. And I'm thinking, oh man, we're about to get it. Eminem's about to set it off. He's about to flash back to 8 Mile. He's about to be B-Rabbit. And he introduces Terrence Crawford. He has the mic in his hand, and then he doesn't do anything with it. He walks Terrence Crawford to the ring to his own song and doesn't rap a single bar of it, Booker.
But you know what? Sometimes you got to ask, for exactly what you want. No, I'm serious. No, I was listening to that because somebody else was talking about it. Asked Terrence, I think in the presser, how did he get Eminem to walk him to the ring? And he said, man, it's crazy how stuff happened. I just dropped him a line. And he said, yeah, he'll walk me to the ring. And the thing is, Terrence didn't say, would you rap me to the ring? It's just like a buddy of mine last year, a couple of years ago, he invited me to, a wedding, for his daughter. And I went to the wedding, and as soon as the wedding was over with, I bounced and I came home, and they were looking for me at the reception. And when I saw him the next time, he was texting me. And I don't know, I may not have returned the answer to text because I knew what it was. He goes, man, why'd you come to the reception? We wanted you for the reception, And I go, well, you didn't ask me that. So he just asked me to go to his wedding for his son, but he said, but I need you for the reception as well. So I was like, okay, I'll be there. So you got to know how to make sure you ask for, exactly what you want. Sometimes I think that was just a miscommunication on that.
Well, you know what, though? It didn't matter. It didn't throw Terrence Crawford off. He went out there and did it. Now, that was going to be my question, though, for you next, is what is the next logical fight for Terrence Crawford? We know there's going to be the rematch in December which I guess we should address first, because Errol Spence is enacting that rematch clause. They want to do it in December. Errol wants it at 154 pounds, which is apparently in the contract. How do you see a rematch going at a slightly higher weight at 154 instead of 147?
I don't know. I don't think it was the weight in this fight. I think it was the skill level. I thought Errol Spence, like I say, he looked the same. Didn't look like, he was out of sort or anything when he was, fighting. It didn't look like, he was, missing a beat or anything. He said his timing was off. What does that mean? I don't know. But to answer your question, at 154, I was listening to both of these guys talk, and Errol Spence said, definitely it was hard to make that, 47, and he would definitely love to have a fight at 54 if Terrence Crawford would, oblige at 54. And Terrence Crawford said, look, man, to be honest, it was really hard for me to make 47 too. I was already talking about moving up, to challenge Charlo anyway. So that makes sense for him as well. So, and the thing is, I don't see Bud Crawford ducking Errol Spence, especially after this first fight. When you beat a man like that, when you beat a man that convincingly, you feel like you can beat him at every weight class, they put you in.
Yeah.
That's just the way I see it. That's just the way I see it, because that fight there again, from round one, even though they gave Errol Spence Jr. round one, me personally, they could have went that way. But from that point on, it was a one-sided affair. Yeah. Seriously. I mean, if you guys didn't see the fight, go back and watch some of the, just the clips on YouTube, and you're gonna go, wow. I've literally been in awe since I've been home, just thinking about it. Every time I pick my phone up and flip it on YouTube, I gotta check out a couple of clips and I'm like, man, what a beatdown. What a beatdown. And like I said, I respect that kid, Errol Spence, to the utmost, but he was in it was a buzzsaw. He needed a sledgehammer to fight his way out of that ring in T-Mobile Arena on Saturday night.
Yeah, it was definitely awe-inspiring. The performance from Bud Crawford to do what no man has ever done before, and that's defeat Errol Spence Jr., and to do so in convincing fashion. This wasn't by a judging at the end of the fight by decision. This was, he took the decision in his own hands, and he said, I'm going to finish this fight. And he did exactly what he went out there to do. So shout out to him, man. And you know what? It was overall a great night of fights, even on the UFC side of things. UFC side was great. Shout out to Justin Gaethje, the new BMF champion of the world. Derek Lewis finished his last fight under UFC contract with a convincing win. And we saw El Kukui go out there and have another regrettable performance and lose to Bobby Green.
I think Tony Ferguson should wrap it up, man. I think, he's had his day.
That's not what you said on Saturday. Wait, no, I went up to a book and I said, hey, man, Tony Ferguson got tapped out by Bobby Green in the last round. And what did you say? I said, I think he should wrap it up. What'd you say?
Okay. What did that? What
you go, he just needs a different camp. Give that man a different camp. He'll be all right.
He can bounce back from this.
I mean, but look, it has there, and really all respect to Tony Ferguson, one of the great lightweights in UFC history. But when you have 6 losses in a row, the writing's on the wall, and you should be able to look in the mirror and say, maybe I'm not as good as I once was, and maybe I need to think about transitioning into something different.
I agree. I agree 100%. The thing is, when these fighters, like a Tony Ferguson, get to this point, we've seen it many, many times, many times when these fighters get to this point and they just don't want to walk away. They love this sport so much. It normally doesn't end well. Tony Ferguson, I feel like after the Gaethje fight, he should have retired. Honestly, that's just my opinion, because I felt like it was some brain damage.
Oh, there had to be.
In that fight, I felt like something was off and awry. And if you couldn't see it with your own eyes when they stopped that fight, when Tony Ferguson would just look like he was a puppet, come on, man. And this is what, his 3rd fight since then?
I think it's more than that. I think
Come
it's
on.
more than that. Let's see.
Come on.
This is since Gaethje. This is his 5th fight.
5th fight since then.
Yeah, he lost to Charles Oliveira, Beneil Dariush, Michael Chandler, Nate Diaz, and Bobby Green. Now.
You know, I mean, come on. You know, and I play around and stuff, and you know how you gonna, tell a man he can't feed his family, and I be messing. I'm just playing. I'm just that's all. That's just playing. I'm just jokes, sarcasm, whatever you want to call it. But when you see a guy like this in this situation, and you don't step up and step in and do something about it, being the guy, overlooking that thing, it's a problem with that. And you just keep putting him in there. It's a problem with that. The Diego Sanchez of the world, it's a problem with that.
Yeah.
When you just keep throwing guys in there. And that's the part for me with this fight game. It's hard to watch sometimes. It's hard to watch. Like Gladiator. Are you entertained? Are you? I feel that. I get it. And I love being entertained. But some of these guys got to know when to step away, and Tony Ferguson is definitely one of those guys that need to know when to hold and know when to fold. We got to take a break. Stick around, y'all. We're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. We just chopping it up because we was in Vegas this weekend for the biggest fight of the year, welterweight championship on the line, Crawford versus Spence, WBA, WBC, WBO, and the IBF championships on the line. And that boy, Terrence Bud Crawford, walked away with all the gold. He is the pound for pound best fighter in the world. And give it to that boy. Give it up. Stand up for that boy from Omaha, Nebraska. Terrence Bud Crawford.
Yeah, man. Can't do anything but give the man his flowers on what he was able to accomplish that night. But in the last segment, we were talking about UFC 291, and I just wanted to mention one more point regarding El Kakui, our man Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson is about to turn 40 years of age. We've always said it, Book, when you get around that 4-0 mark for this sport in general, normally this is when you should start thinking about winding things down, wrapping it up, calling it a career, and transitioning out. You know who Tony Ferguson, though, reminds me of at this stage in his career? And it's kind of ironic because it was a man that Tony has fought before, and that's Donald Cerrone. Remember Cerrone, just his last 7 fights he lost. 7, right? It was to Tony, Justin, Connor, Anthony Pettis, Nico Price, Alex Morena, and then Jim Miller. 7 fights in a row. And you know how old Cowboy Cerrone is? He's 40 years of age. And these are 2 guys who are UFC journeymen. I would say that Tony Ferguson probably ranks a little bit higher overall in the UFC annals of time than Cowboy Cerrone, but they're a similar case where when you see loss after loss after loss, it's just a sad sight to see for a UFC legend.
I mean, when you look at the parallel, though, it really is somewhat similar in this fact, though. Look at all those names that Don Cerrone had to go out there and fight that he got beat by. On the last end, of course, he had got beat by those guys before that kind of totally softened him up for those last couple of guys. The same thing with someone like Tony Ferguson. Those guys that beat him set him up for a guy like Bobby Green to beat him. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I get it. But those guys that Bobby Green, Tony Ferguson fought. Those guys, those were top guys. Those guys that Don Cerrone fought, that he lost to, those were top guys that he lost to. And that's the part about UFC that I talk about all the time. In the UFC, you don't get a chance to sit on the sideline and just fight, a guy that's, in the school, a guy that's coming up, a get over match. You know what I mean?
Tune-up game.
Yeah, you don't get a chance to do that. You're always fighting against the best guys in the world. So your calendar in that sport, 40 might just be everybody's number, because by that time they're gonna be on the way down, and they're gonna still be fighting the best fighters in the game. So that's my analogy on that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And
there are great analogy. Great analogy. I got to give myself a pat on the back for that right there, because because that comparison, man, is literally is parallel. It's almost identical.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though you brought it up. I give you that much credit. You had the first part.
Hey, wait, look, there was a lot that went down though over the weekend. One of them was the Great American Bash. Do you want to talk about the bash? Because we do have super chats on the back end I think we can get to.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I want to say about the NXT Great American Bash, if I had to give the show a rating, it was a 9 out of 10. But it was such a great show from the opening match, that 8-person tag match, which was kicked off in the kickoff show, was great. That was such a great way to start the night.
I was so worried about that match too. I think if you heard me tell Vic, I said, you're gonna have to help me out with this one. because there's way too many people out here. I don't know the rules.
You barely know the names.
Exactly. So hook me up. But it turned out to be a damn good match. It really did. I agree with you 100%.
It was really great. And Yulissa Leon and her partner Valentina Feroz, man, they were dope. I've seen them in spurts in NXT, but with a light shown upon them this much, they're
really good together.
They're really good together.
They really are good together. They could be literally the spice that that really put that tag team in a position where people can look at it. I really feel that way. Those two, they got something special. Seriously.
Well, and it's teams like that you could really have organically built up through the NXT system and then into the main roster to have a legitimate, solid women's tag team division.
Yeah, like Pretty Deadly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. They should keep them together. When they do finally move, they move together, and they move as a tag team. And if they break off from there, somewhere down the line, that's one thing. But that feel of having tag teams come in as tag teams, that's gone. And it felt a certain way when you saw the Road Warriors, the Nasty Boys, the Steiner Brothers, Harlem Heat, the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express. Those guys made you feel like they was, bundled at the hip, like they were tag teams, like they were twin brothers from different mothers, all that type of stuff. So yeah, man, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we need more of that. So it's a great way to start the night. And you know what? I will say, you were popping me from the couch when I was watching the Great American Bash from the get-go. I was telling you this earlier, but when Jakara Jackson gets out of the ring and she's making her entrance, you're like, there's a Scotty.
I got to get Scotty over, man.
And the thing is, Booker was doing that in Vegas the whole weekend. Just yelling it out at random points. Well, I guess not at random points, but
Scotty's everywhere, man.
When they were around.
One thing about the show, man, is you gotta keep that thing moving, man, and try to have fun with it. And like you said, the Great American Bash was definitely that nostalgic feeling, that Dusty Rhodes feeling. That stage was so cool. The star,
it was just
right
like
over, and I was like, man, we got to steal this look right here for our new arena. Speaking of our new arena, not to jump off what happened at the Great American Bash, we're gonna have a big announcement coming up for Reality of Wrestling very, very soon as far as the direction of reality of wrestling. What's going on with reality of wrestling? Is there anything breaking in reality of wrestling? We'll give you guys all the latest as far as what's going on very, very soon. So stay tuned for myself and my lovely queen to have the State of the Union address for reality of wrestling.
You're looking forward to that. A lot of great things under wraps that we haven't been able to talk about, and we're about to be able to release them into the world so that everybody knows about it. I want to ask you, going back to the Great American Bash, they had a great opening to not just to the wrestling of the show, but the actual open of the show with Cody Rhodes discussing the importance of the Great American Bash and what it meant that his dad created it. And they flashed through some of the signature moments in Great American Bash history. And I just wanted to ask if it means anything to you, because I actually don't know, but they had a shot of you winning the world. There's only four or five moments that they highlighted from all the years of the Great American Bash. And one of them was your win over Rey Mysterio for the world title when you were King Booker. I don't know if you probably saw that in the package. Does that make you feel any kind of way when you see that? Like, oh, wow, they chose that clip out of all the years of the Great American Bash? Or does something like that not even cross your mind?
I didn't even see it.
Oh, okay. Well, they had like 5 moments, and you were one of the 5 moments.
I was probably looking at my notes, getting ready for the show. I'm always thinking about, the first match and, whatnot. But nah, man, that's cool. It really is. I'm so glad to be a part of NXT and being able to, give back and just be a part of the show. Just be a part of the show, knowing that the show is not about me. It's not about me at all. But I work my ass off to put myself in that position to be one of those guys that these young guys look up to and to want to aspire to be like one day. And that aspiration is to, to be the best performer and the best entertainer that you possibly can be the best entertainer on the roster. Are you? Perhaps not, but that's your ultimate goal. And for me to be put in that position to where they're showing me win the world heavyweight championship and one of my, most shining moments, it really was, later on in my career, it was really, really great. And I tell you, I cherish those moments. I'll cherish it to the day I die, because I tell you, greatest moments in perhaps my wrestling history, other than my first world title.
Yeah, wow. And it was the one that also happened during what I've heard you characterize as the best run of your career.
Yeah, I mean, I put it out there. I was the best king that ever, played the role. A lot of people, it's up for debate. People say they have their best kings. Some have others. But for me, I feel like King Booker was the epitome of the ultimate king. Played perfectly in every shape, form, and fashion. Me personally, I know I'm biased. In that situation. But if I was a fan from the outside looking in and putting my body of work against every other king's body of work, it's going to be a couple that's going to be in this. Mach is going to be in, of course. Macho and the lovely Elizabeth. They're going to be no Macho and Sherry. That's right. My bad. They're going to be in there. The work they did, they're going to be there, and I say it's between myself and the Macho Man as far as greatest kings of all time. That's my opinion. That's just me. I know I'm biased, but we got to take a break, guys. Stick around, y'all. We're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
In order to kick some ass, you got to bring some. I wasn't born the chosen one. I became the chosen one. Through hard work, determination, and winning.
The chosen one, victorious.
You're gonna be a big star. You already are.
I'm stronger, and I'm faster than anyone they've ever put me in the ring with. Being the chosen one isn't just a nickname, it's a gift. And professional wrestling is my gift. That is an absolute guaranteed. What's my name again?
Shub! Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. I know we ain't got a whole lot of time left on the show today. Got preempted and all that stuff. You know, I mean, we need more time. We need more time. We need to talk to somebody about this because the people want it. They need more Hall of Fame. But I know we got to get to our super chatters, man. I know we got to get to our super chatters. You want to do that now? You want to get? You had something else you wanted to add?
Well, I mean, is there? Let's just real quick. Was there anything else from the Great American Bash that you think that?
And Davenport, you know, Roxanne Perez, definitely they went out there and did their thing. That boy Mello and the Mad Dragon. I'm gonna tell you right now, best match I've seen Carmelo in since I've been in NXT. Best match, and the props, you know, go to Drag. You know, Dragunov brought the fight, and he made Carmelo Hayes have to bring everything in that fight in order to walk out and steal the NXT champion. Now, taking nothing away from Carmelo Hayes, but Dragunov is a guy that when you look at him, you believe. It's almost like this is what I say about fans. When fans watching the matches, they're sitting there as fans and they're watching the guys come out and they do their stuff. And certain guys go to the ring, boom, they have their matches. Then the next match come out and they have their match. Then the next guy come out and they have their match. And then they announce, okay, Dragunov, you know, is coming out. And then the kid go, oh man, wait a minute. You saw all those other matches? Watch this guy. That's the ticket. That's what Dragunov brings to the table. And I tell you, man, from the outset, just from the interest, from the, you know, the pose on the ropes, you know, with the red eyes, you know, oh, man, and then bringing the noise to fight. Carmelo Hayes was in a fight of his life, and I tell you, he brought it. He brought it. He went out and did what I'm expecting this young man to do on a weekly basis. And let's go out there and be able to wrestle at the highest level. But when it's time to get into a fight, let's bring the noise. And that's what I saw on that night. It's a great night. Great night of action.
Great night of action. From, like you said, from top to bottom, Roxanne Perez, Dominic Mysterio, of course, that match was
Dom. Oh my God. What a match. What a match. That young man has come up like crazy. Mustafa Ali give him big props. And that boy Wesley, state of the art, next level talent. And everything in that match, I'm talking about the finish. The finish was beautiful. It was a beautiful finish. So big props to all those guys for going out there and having a stellar performance.
Really incredible, man. Really incredible from top to bottom. And also big shout out to Tiffany Stratton and Thea Hale, which I thought was another fun match to watch, that submission match. But we have the super chats to get to, so let's get to them right now. First one's from Marcus Craig. Book, if you could create an all-women's faction in pro wrestling in either company, AEW, WWE, or Impact, who would be your 4 or 5 ladies?
Rhea Ripley.
Mm-hmm.
Jade Cargill, Charlotte Flair, and maybe I like
Braxton.
I like Promise Braxton. She's a bad girl, but she's just not there yet. But one person I really like more than anything to really be the mouth, the badass of that group is that's Bailey. I don't know why I like Bailey, man, but she's bad, man.
Okay, I like it. Let's move on to the next one here. This is from John JID999. Precious and Baby Doll being physical in the territory days / Rhea West now. Is there a big shift now in women being more physical against men / vice versa?
I mean, you know what? I'm not opposed to women being physical with men. You know, I'm not. You know, I mean, Sherry was physical with men back in the day. It always worked. You know, if a man, just say for instance, came in Sherry's face, she would slap the crap out of him just because she knew the man couldn't hit her back. It played into the action. So yeah, I'm totally for adding more women to the action, and you know, but I'm not an intergender type guy. All right, I'm not an intergender type guy where men are wrestling women or men playing in women's sports. Let's just get that out there.
Right. Move on, since I know we're pressed for time. This from Ty Toenail. How are we going to handle the Heat's loss and you getting the boot? I'm blaming the ref. He looked like he worked for the NFL when Tom Brady wins and giving up daps and handshakes celebrating. IDK, handle your biz, BT.
Hey, man, you know, things happen. You know, things happen sometime. But trust me, things will be rectified. The Heat, along with their man, Booker, they will be redeemed very, very soon. Trust me on that.
I like it. And then our next one is here from Cap Owens. Brad Booker, Gable debuts, gets booed. How do y'all feel?
Hey, man, they booed that boy out the building. Baron Corbin was, you know, a big baby face.
Which is the only time that sentence will ever be said.
No, man, you know, I'm on the fence with this kid, Gable Steveson. I'm not bought in. If I was a jury, the verdict would still be out. You know what I mean? Because the kid he got 1 foot in, he's got 1 foot out. He's got 1 foot in, he's got 1 foot out. These fans, man, they are rabid. They want to know if you here to stay, man. They ain't looking for no part-timers. You know what I mean? We ain't looking for guys that just want to hang around and look good. No. You got to get in there and show me something, son. You better show me something. And you know what? You better do it quick.
Yeah, I don't know what the future holds for Gable Steveson. We'll see. There's been one other person who's come from the Olympics as a gold medalist into WWE. We know that was Kurt Angle.
Well, he had Kurt Angle.
He had quite the run, and those are hard shoes to fill. And I agree with that sentiment. He's no Kurt Angle.
That's gonna be a hot take.
Well, he's not.
No, he's you know what? Kurt Angle came in and he was willing to, really fall in and really dive into learning this business. And not that Gable Steveson isn't, but he really, I really think Gable Steveson has some unfinished business still left in the amateurs. I still think he got unfinished business in the Olympics. That right there, that's a legacy in itself. For him to be 2-time Olympic gold medalist, come on, man, that's the Wheaties box. He never got to do nothing ever again in his life. So I understand totally.
This is from Richard Jr. NXT Halloween Havoc needs to be in Nashville, Tennessee in October 2023.
Okay. I'm loving it. Halloween.
I like Nashville.
Halloween Havoc. I'm down with that. Seriously.
I like Nashville. Kappa Owens, Ilya versus him. Brad/BT. This was Rocky versus Drago. Epic.
Nah, man. Like I said, those two young men went out and they brought it. They had a classic match. It was no plan, no jive, and it was just business. I love the concept of it in the beginning too, where Carmelo went out and wrestled, tried to, keep dragging off real close to the body, tried to wear on him a little bit, came in with a total different game plan than normal, than just, shooting threes, like he normally does. So no, I loved it. I loved that match from the outset.
All right, and here's we have two more. Big Breezo says, "What's up, Book and Brad G?" 2 questions, Book. How do you know Crawford was going to win versus Spence? And the triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship was awesome. Thoughts on Dom?
Man, triple threat was awesome. Dominic Mysterio is definitely moving into a stratosphere where most young men at that stage has never seen. He really is. This kid is honestly that good. And as far as Crawford, the reason I felt like Crawford was going to win just because of their, again, past fights that both of those guys have been in the ring with, in the way the destruction and mayhem that was created when Crawford was in there. And like I said, again, Errol Spence, great fighter, but I felt like for him to win that fight especially for him to get a knockout, it was going to have to be a precise punch. It was going to have precision on it. It was going to have to be a laser beam on it in order for it to actually, and that's what happened. That's what happened. I just feel like he shot everything. He shot his load, but he just could not find that mark. You know what I mean? So I just felt like Terrence Crawford was going to find it sooner or later. And
the final question of the evening. I'm used to tweeting y'all, hitting the DMs. Am I Xing y'all now?
What
do y'all call it?
We call it X, man. That's what it is. The thing is, if you just say X, it don't sound like nothing. But if you say X, you say, oh, yeah, we got something. It make you feel a little better about the X, man. You know what I mean? Must. If you want that, drop me some ducats, man. Drop me some ducats, and then I'll even do the promo for you. It's all about it.
And that's coming from at Booker T 5X.
I'm loving it, man. Hey, Elon, hit me up. I got you on this. It ain't gonna cost you, but we ain't gonna even talk about that on the air. Hey, man, we gotta get up out of here, man. We gotta bounce, man. I want to thank everybody. I just want to get it out there one more time. I just want to thank everybody for hanging out inside the Hall of Fame. Get your champagne wishes. Carry your dreams. I got to bounce up out of here in the morning. Get to NXT Orlando, all that stuff. But Brad, always thanks for every listening. All you super chatters, man, we appreciate you. We love you. Same place here in the next couple of days, man. Next time. Peace. We love you. We out.